but at least there's at least a couple visuals that I do to get this computer to go. So, Sandeepa, can I close yours? Okay. So, this presentation is a breakout of something that Philip has been participating in for about the past month and a half or so. Leadership of, come on in guys. Leadership of Bottle Rocket got together and decided how can we unify the way we work. Since everybody hates the P word process, we came up with the idea of calling it the How We Work Committee. So for those that haven't spoken to Philip about it, I would really encourage you guys to do that. There were some really cool ideas that we're going to work on. One of them is I'm going to start training the whole company on how we're supposed to be working. So this is just the initial, this is kind of one of those, it was a real easy thing to get together because it's something that we all should know about and it's going to be easier to train everybody. So I'm kind of going discipline by discipline. I spoke to the Jedis already about this and the PMs already about this, but I wanted to spend just a couple minutes today talking about stand-ups. So as you guys know, the stand-up is usually for most teams, it happens first thing in the morning. It's usually the first thing that the teams do as a group. And yet, depending on which team you're on, they're going to get run different ways. There's different ways to share information, and a lot of times it's not providing the value that we think it does. And so this whole talk is to just say, how do we take the sorry, I'm used to be able to look at this as I present. So the idea of how do we take the first meeting of the day and how do we make it our best meeting of the day? So those are the couple of things we're going to talk today about. Now, for those that, go to the next slide. For those that, when he was here, worked with Mark Atwood. Mark Atwood is a huge rugby fan. Does anybody watch rugby? Anybody ever? No? Nobody? Okay. It's all right. American football's way better. The idea is rugby, for those that don't know, Scrum originated from rugby principles, and one of the co-founders of Scrum, Jeff Sutherland, he watched rugby at the time and kind of gleaned some of his principles from there. The actual the actual integration into rugby that I think matters the most is at the very first, there's a country called New Zealand that they have a rugby team called the All Blacks. And they do something, it's a Polynesian culture. The indigenous tribe there is called the Maori, and they have a tribal dance that they used to traditionally before they go into war. Well, the All Blacks in New England, going back to the early 1900s, started, I think it was actually the late 1800s, they started doing this dance. And it's a dance they do before every rugby match, and it's kind of like what I consider the ultimate daily stand-up. So I wanted to kind of at least start off with, and I'm sorry for everybody in the back that can't see, but just take a couple of minutes.
Are you going to do the dance with me?
I'm not going to do the dance with you. It's the team in the All Blacks, right? In the All Black, hence the name All Blacks. What you'll notice is there's one guy that kind of kicks everything off, but he actually participates in it with them. He kind of says a couple of words, says, let's get going, this is what we're going to do. Usually his words are very insightful. If you ask Mark Atwood, I think the specific interpretation has to do with we're not just gonna beat you. We're gonna, like, there's actual word language that says we're going to eat you. And when they stick their tongues out and they flare their tongues out, they're saying, and you're going to taste good. Like, that's how badly we're gonna beat you guys, which is fairly terrifying. If I was standing on the battlefield, I don't know that it has the same implications for rugby. But very intimidating. One thing you'll notice is that they all move together, they all do the same motions, they all do the same cadence. And when they get done, they are fired up, like they are ready to go. when I think when I think that's applicable is, it doesn't matter. I watched dozens of videos of this team do this dance, and it doesn't matter whether they are on the field about to play or they're in suits at some PR showing at some local place where fans just come up. Like, if they do this dance, like, you see it in their eyes, they are fired up, they are ready to go. And I think that if to take all the sports analogies out of it, I really feel like we don't do that enough with our meetings here. We don't do it with it. This is our purpose. This is what we're going to do. And when we're done, we're fired up and we're ready to go. And that's what we should be doing with our stand-ups. So a couple points I'm just going to go through real quick. A lot of this should be familiar to you guys. I know a few of you guys are certified Scrum Masters, so this will be old hat to you guys. But the purpose is I want everybody to know, because it's not just the fact that the PMs or the people that are running them should know, but everybody should know what's expected, because we should expect the best of our leaders and our leadership. And that's kind of my goal is to circulate this information so everybody can know. Preparation is the key. If you do not prepare before stand-up, then it's not going to matter. Now, for the PM or for whoever's leading the stand-up, obviously I need to make sure that I'm looking through the backlog. Am I prepared? Do I know what items have been closed out? What work did the team do beforehand? Get some updates on last-minute roadblocks, like Philip needs me to get an SDK update from Envato, and where do I stand on that? I need to make sure I have all that information, because if I walk in to stand up and I don't know all this, then basically what I'm communicating is I don't care enough about you guys to be prepared. So for you guys, know what you did yesterday when you come in. I don't like the whole "what did I do yesterday" thing during stand-up, because if we're all looking at the boards, we know what work got done. We don't necessarily to have a ceremony around calling around the work where everybody goes, "Here's what I did yesterday." Rather, everybody know what we did and focus on moving forward. What's next? So, it's good to know what you got accomplished. Only if it impacts, like, this story is a prerequisite for this next user story that got done. Like, that's kind of the really thing you need to be prepared for. And also, don't come in and go, I'm gonna, sorry, I'll get to that in a second. So, once you've prepared, now, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. One, it's really important that you're on time. I know that different people have different feelings on what on time means, but if you're not there, if your stand-up is at 10:15 and you show up at 10:17, what you've said is to start the day off, I don't care enough about my team to be there and be ready. I don't think that means you're a bad employee or you're a bad person, because neither of those things are true. We're all amazing people, and that's why we're here. But I feel like my teams that I work with, everybody's on time, because I've communicated, hey, look, the other meetings, look, we've all got things that happen during the day, a meeting runs over, whatever. But if this is the first thing of the day, this is really the only meeting that I care about. I've communicated that, and I feel like your PMs are supposed to be communicating that same message to you guys as well. Now, if you're in there in that space ready to go, then you don't have to worry about shooting the breeze while you're waiting for somebody to get there. I'm not a real big fan on punishments either. Like, the punishment is the team didn't get off to a good start, and that should be. I hate like going, well, you owe us donuts the next day, or you get so many freebies. I've heard of PMs doing that before. Like, none of that's important. Just get there because it's important to your team. Now, when you're there and set to go, now that you've prepared, you call, like I said, you call it the work done. Now, for a PM, I like calling out the work that I see done, because it's important for me to recognize, hey guys, you guys were awesome yesterday. You guys were productive. You guys solved problems. And if I say, hey, look, this is what I noticed you guys got done, then I can say, hey, Phil, notice you closed a bunch of tickets yesterday. Thank you. Hey, the client was really looking forward to seeing this feature. Now I can share that in the build today. That communicates, again, I care. If I'm paying attention, then I know you did something. And I can say that for everybody. Like, hey, yesterday wasn't a real productive day, but because we were blocked, not a problem. Let me see if I can get that blocker called out for you. Again, it's all about the idea that I care what's happening for you guys. Now, if you guys have a need to call it the work done, have it be for a specific reason. I like I said, I don't like a lot of it just because we should all be paying attention. But if you say, hey, I got this done, developer, you can go back to, you can do this next story or whatever. So only if it's a prerequisite, move on. Now, once you get in there, there's a kind of a cadence, and if we can all get on the same cadence, I think that it kind of gets things done faster in stand-ups. One of the things that causes stand-ups to go a really long time is not everybody's sharing it the exact same way, and of course then that leads to the rambling and the extraneous information. So if we can keep to the same format of how we share them, we'll be better. Now, I like it for the PMs to go first, and here's the main reason. First off, I get to call it the work that got done, so I'm communicating, I'm paying attention, but also, and I think this goes for everybody, like, when you go, like, if you pay attention and you're focused on just calling, here's what I'm working on, these are roadblocks that I have, like, if you are focused on that, then you set a good example for everybody else. I think one thing that, and I say this of all our disciplines, we have amazing developers and we have amazing testers, but in particular, I would like to call out that QA, as we all know, is the first one that gets crapped on when things go wrong. And I'd like to say that Sandeepa has an amazing community of quality assurance analysts that are mindful of their projects. And I'd rather look at you guys as you guys are leaders here. You guys are concise. You are unified. And if you guys can help me out with this process of format and specificity with stand-ups, then everybody else will take notice because y'all are the ones that notice the quality. So we care about the quality of our apps, but I think if we could care about the quality of everything that we do here, then how we work will improve, right? And so I like to think of myself as my first job was in quality assurance, and I don't QA test. I don't test apps anymore. I do a little bit if I'm asked to, but the main thing I test our experience of making stuff. I test how we work. So if you guys can help me in that, that'll really help as well. Now the format is pretty easy. The last thing that I want someone to stand up is I'm going to be testing today. If you hear one of your fellow testers stand up and go, I'm testing the app today, or I'm doing regression testing, shoot them in the head with a dart. Maybe not in the head, because I don't want anybody to hit me in the eye. Last time I hit someone in the eye with a dart, it was bad news. Call out the specific work you're being done. Again, it goes to attention to detail. Like if you care about the detail of your work, like I saw this card got moved to QA, I'm going to test this, hope to have it done by 4 o'clock or whatever. If you call out what you're going to do when you plan on getting it done, then it communicates, again, I know what I'm doing and you should know what I'm doing. I hear people a lot of times go, well, there's conversation, but it really doesn't impact me. I think one of the reasons why we think that the information of our teammates doesn't impact is because it's not specific enough. If you are specific in what you do, then it should matter to the team. Because they'll go, oh, so-and-so's getting this task closed today. I can keep an eye out for it. Developer's going to get this done. I can test it tomorrow. Or this is going to be tested today. Hey, we can send it to the client tomorrow. The more specific we are, the more valuable the information is. Did I miss anything? We all know we have ramblers in our group. In our company, there's always someone that wants to share for 5 minutes about a task they could spend 30 minutes or 30 seconds on. The way I like to look at it is just say, hey, why don't we offline that until after we're done? If you feel, everybody kind of can feel like when someone's sharing too much about a talk. I try not to be binary about it, like, nope, you've talked for 30 seconds, but just use your best judgment. It's like, I think we got it, or hey, it sounds like an offline conversation, why don't we add this to the roadblocks and then move on after. Pretty simple. Now, one thing that I think people view stand-ups as, I won't poll you guys here, but I would think that in the past you may have felt this way. The purpose of a stand-up is not to have a daily status report. To be honest, what you guys do on a day in, day out basis, I mean, yes, we all have deliverables we need to meet, but my day is not impacted specifically on what you're doing. And it does not make my day any better or worse for you just to go, hey Chris, here's my status, because the status report communicates I'm fulfilling an obligation. I don't necessarily see any value in this, so I'm just giving you my status so I can check out and get back on Twitter or whatever. That's not what we want. If you're communicating and you're focusing on the work as opposed to the specific person, then you're not just viewing your PM as someone to report your status to. Instead, one thing I hope in the new space we're going to do is actually use physical and virtual boards for stand-ups. This is a thing that I've coached the PM team on. If you have a physical board, a lot of you can't see this, but in the picture, there is a physical board that everybody's in a semicircle around, and they're focused on, so for instance, if there's a Kanban board in here, if I'm focused on the work, then I don't have the ability to get into all the personal stuff that's involved with tickets. I can say, I'm working on this task, I plan on having it here. Sorry, that's what I'm supposed to do. I plan on having it here. If you focus on that, then you're not, then you're being more specific. It's easier to say, task 195 will be done tomorrow. So if you focus on, instead of standing in a circle looking at each other going, I'm going to give you my status, if we focus on the work and saying, how am I going to get the work from this side to that side, then it'll reinforce that ability to keep moving. Now, it's really important to wrap it up. One of the things that I've coached the PM team on is when you're taking a note of roadblocks, whether it's on the whiteboard or on your physical, writing it down on paper or in an app on your phone, keep notes of not what all the things that you're doing, but keep notes on what the roadblocks are. If the goal of everybody's stand-up is to say, I'm going to take this task and move it this way, then I don't need to write it all down. Rather, if I take note of what the roadblocks are, then I'm not spending too much time writing. A challenge that I've seen some PMs here is that when they're saying, okay, Philip's going to be testing this, Stephanie's going to be testing that, Nikki's going to be testing this. If you write all that down, then you don't pay attention to the what's behind the message, like roadblocks. Like, I'm testing this, I hope I can get this done in time, the server was down this morning. Oh, the server was down, that's an important roadblock that I need to know. But if I'm writing down the status, A, you have to wait for me to finish writing before the next person can go, and B, I may have missed an important roadblock that need to happen. So I listen just for roadblocks, make a note of it, and then when I wrap it up, I say, here's the roadblocks I heard. I can get you a new SDK update by noon because the client told me he was gonna do that before stand-up, and so on and so forth. So not just you commit to the work you're doing, but I can commit to you. How am I going to solve your problems? Because really, if I'm not solving your problems, then I'm not doing my job. So I go through the roadblocks. I commit to when I'm going to fix them. Even if I don't know what the fix is, I can say, hey, I don't really know what the resolution is, but I'll tell you what the resolution is and get you a timetable on it by noon. Commit to it and then follow through with it. That's the big takeaway for PMs. And then I also like to point out things like, don't forget to do your timesheets. I know QA is great about doing their timesheets, but still important to remind everybody to do it. Hey, don't forget we're leaving early on Wednesday for Christmas Eve. Good thing to just kind of housekeeping ideas to kind of remember. Also, it's really important that we remember our sprint goals. If you're on a project and you're planning a sprint, you should have a goal for that sprint, something tangible you try to do. Get this feature out the door, knock out so many bugs, let's meet CCB criteria, any of those things. We want to have a goal for it, and I want to call that out to the team. So when we say, hey, don't remember, the goal of the sprint is this. And then I finish with, does everybody have what they need to work on meeting that goal? And if anybody says no, well then we'll address it offline. But that way, remind everybody the goal. Let's it's kind of my way of going, everybody in your hands, or 1, 2, 3, go team. Like, that's kind of my way of rallying the troops for the end. So don't let your PMs forget about sprint goals and reminding the team about that. Hey, don't forget 4 days left in the sprint. It's gonna be tight, but I know we can do it. Like, those cheesy things matter, I think. Now. For PMs, I'll just quickly go through this. This is mostly for PMs. It's really important to track how we do things. It's important that your PMs track how successful they were at resolving the roadblocks. It's also important that your PM asks you, how am I doing at resolving roadblocks? if Joshua's PM is really slipping in terms of solving issues for him, it's important for Joshua to raise his hand and go, hey, I'm not getting my resolutions fast enough. Like, don't be, I mean, I know that you guys aren't afraid to, but you need to speak up. Like, we need to be solving your problems. And if we're not doing that, we need to know. The most important question that I feel like PMs need to ask on a day in, day out basis is, what's it like to sit on the other side of the table from me? I feel like if we all ask that question, we could all improve our performance, but it's really important for your PMs to ask that of you. Now, in wrap up, I just want the 4 B's that we remember. It's important that we be on time, that we be prepared, that we be specific, and we be a team. If you can do those 4 things, I think your stand-ups will go a whole lot better. Now, one thing you didn't hear was a specific, you have to say these words to get a specific stand-up done. There are dozens of ways for you to get towards the end line of a good, successful stand-up. You can still do the 3 questions if you want. You can just go with straightforward, here's what I'm doing today, here's what I plan on getting it done, these are my roadblocks that I've got. Or you can come up with a game. I've even heard of Scrum Masters before that they start their presentation, or they start stand-ups with Tai Chi, or they pass around a medicine ball and you have to hold it out with one hand, and if you can't hold it up, then you're done, as a way to get people to, be more specific and keep it moving or whatever. There's tons of ways that you can make it happen, make it fun, but it won't work unless you do these 4 things. So, that said, does anybody have any questions for me? I know I went through it really fast. Room full of testers, not one mistake I made. They must be scared of me, Sandeepa.
Oh yeah, that's it.
I'm so intimidated.
Does that make sense though? It's pretty basic and straightforward, right? But I feel like, would y'all agree that this is something that is not consistent from team to team?
I think so. I've been on several teams in the last year, and they're all run different.
Do you feel like if we do these things, if we follow the 4 B's, that'll be concise enough for you?
Do you think it'd be more helpful to have this, for each team instead of with each discipline, so that way the team can hear it together and ask specific team questions? Because every team is different, and they all do things different ways.
Sure.
Some people don't use Scrum, some people, don't do this or do that.
Well, hopefully in the next year we'll all be using Scrum more.
Okay.
But the idea is that that's not a bad suggestion. I think the idea is if every discipline knows what they're supposed to be doing, then when the team gets together, I trust the PM team to get you guys together and say, how do you guys want to do stand-ups? When a new project fires up, everybody remember the team norms that we did just a few weeks ago, where we say this is when we do stand-ups, this is what you can expect from me, kind of thing. That's kind of, it should be in that boat. Now, if the PM needs me to come do it again, then maybe what I can do is have all the 4 ceremonies that we should be doing: stand-ups, planning, demo, and retro. Mm-hmm. If I can probably come up with a concise deck to maybe kind of run through all the team. Hey, it's up to you guys to figure out how you want to do it. These are the things to remember. So, I don't know, not a bad idea.
Just a thought.
Any other thoughts? Anybody? Ian, you're way too quiet.
We'll say.
Okay.